Greetings everyone, and welcome to MOI. Today, I'm gonna do something that every other channel does, and I figured I gotta add to it. I'm gonna show you how to build a fire from a single log and a ferrocerium rod. This is a good skill to have. It's very helpful. You know, big colliders, when it gets below 32, don't really work very well. Reason is, butane boils at 32 degrees. And if you fell in the drink and got soaking wet, they're kind of hard to clear sometimes. It's like that. So it's good to know, good to practice. I actually use a ferrocerium rod all the time. Yeah, it's a little crazy. I think the only time I use matches still is actually when I have to light the stove by hand. Because believe it or not, lighting a propane stove with a ferrocerium rod, a little hard. I've tried it. It's very hard. Story for another time. So I hope you like this, and I hope you get some good knowledge on this. And I got some tips that a lot of the other videos don't really cover. And I figure they will really help someone when they're first trying this. And this is actually a semi-difficult skill at times. So let's pan down and take a look at what we got for a setup. Okay, so we have a ferrocerium rod, and we're gonna build a fire out of a single log. Very good practice. Hard, but I wanted to show it. Because, like I said, builds a lot of really good skills when you can do it from a single log. And we'll do some simpler videos if people want them. But I wanted to show some good tips, like I mentioned. Now, knife. This is a Mora knife. Now, this one has a nice angle on the back of the knife. This is great for striking ferrocerium rods. Now, one of the things you don't see them talk about in the other videos is how sharp does your knife have to be to do this? They don't tell you. Well, here, I'll show you. You have to be, whoops, well, if you can see on my arm, I just took a bunch of hair right off. Take some more. Oops, there goes more. It has to be razor sharp, and I do mean razor sharp. Doing this without a razor sharp knife, well, it sucks. It sucks horrible. And when I saw a lot of people say, oh, you just do blah, 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 and I was like, oh, I'll give that tip a try. Yeah, the key piece, razor sharp knife, was missing. And it was a lot of cussing, four-letter words involved, and going, why doesn't this work? Well, that's the thing. Now, like when you buy a knife, they're usually not razor sharp. We will go over sharpening knives some other time, but for now, just realize it has to be razor sharp. So, let's cut up our log. Also, for today, we're going to be using cedar. Birch is also really good, except I don't have any birch trees around here. I have cedar, so I'm using cedar. Pine is a lot harder sometimes, but we'll mess with pine another day. But for today, we'll use my favorite, cedar. So I'm just going to split this, and yeah, I'm going to do this the odd way. Now this is actually convenient. I'm going to use this as the base where I build everything. Now the method we're covering today can get you to start a fire in really wet conditions. What you're going to do is after you split it, we're going to take the wood from the center here. This is dry. Even if it's been horribly raining and stuff like that, you can go find yourself a dead tree, dead logs or whatever. Get from the center after you split it open. Dry wood. Now, wind sucks. We have to build deep into the ground, make a hole to block the wind. Otherwise, all of our fine shavings we will have will be stolen, and we can't use them. And the wind I find more frustrating than the rain sometimes. Windy and wet, well, there's a lot of cursing involved, but that's doable too. We will make some videos about that if people like this one. So, if you like it, give it a thumbs up. So this is nice. When it breaks apart like that, got these nice little pieces here. This we use to help get the fire going. Oops, let me angle this so everyone can see. What we're going to do is we're going to build a simple crossover. We're going to build a cross here, a little setup that our shavings will be able to catch. When I say catch, I mean start burning. So we take our little bits of wood that have come apart from breaking it, and we stack them across. We start pulling some more off of here. Let me readjust, my knees are telling me I'm old. There we go, bigger piece, I wanted that. Set that up there. So the other little pieces. Now, get our knife here. We'll start breaking off some more. And you can tell when you've got a really sharp knife because it will bite into the wood and just gracefully pull shavings off. And that's what you want. So let's split this wood a little bit more. So everything's very dry here, so I'm not going to eat a ton of things to get this going. And this should help us let things start. Now, this has a lot of airflow. The way it's set up, very good for us. That's what we need. Now, I've got another piece of wood ready to come off. We'll grab it, help add to our little setup. Now I'm going to take some more bark off the back here in a second. Oh, yeah. I got it off the other pieces. Coming apart. So, now we're going to scrape the wood here. I'm going to get a spot I want to scrape from. And we're going to make these itty bitty shavings. I'll show you just what I'm talking about here. All right. Now we got this piece of wood. What I'm going to do is set this here on the bark and go across. Now, if you are in the middle of nowhere and you need to get these right away and you're having trouble with this, take your shirt off and scrape into your shirt. Works really well for catching a lot of these. But we have no wind here right now. Could change any second. That's how the weather is at this place. But for now, I'm optimistic. So let's aim and start shaving. You hold the knife literally perpendicular and you go up and down your wood. what you're going to end up with, if you can see these, or I'm going to put in my hand, really fine. I mean, they are paper thin shavings of wood. These things catch really well. We need a lot of them, so a lot more scraping to do. But I'm going to put them where I want them. And yes, they like to bounce and move around, so like I said, we need a lot of them. I'm going to try another spot of the wood here. I'm having a little trouble. It keeps catching. It's a little rougher than I want. So I'm going to try another spot. And like I said, sometimes you just got to move around. And boy, does this cedar smell good. Now we're getting there. Patience, always patience. Try here on this side some more. Oops. So we have a pretty good pile here. Now, we'll see if we can light up. And I'll go to pretty good probable on that. Now, I gotta find my Ferrorcerium rod. There it is. Now, one of the things you see all the times is people going in the air and getting that. That works. It can be very hard. Now, when it's cold or when it's wet, you often need a lot of sparks quickly to really drive up the temperature. So this is kind of why we built it this way. We're going to put this here, we're going to bring the knife close, and we're going to go back and forth very rapidly. All right, that lets you build up the heat quickly, and then you can get, as you see, open flame. Now, I'm going to very carefully bring down some of my wood here a little bit to get it to catch better. and carefully blow. And now it's starting to go. And I'm getting smoked out. Must be very beautiful today. Add some more wood. Now, if we were dealing with it being very wet out here, we would probably need 4 to 5 times as much of the little scrapings. When things are wet, it takes a lot to get things going. And you need lots of little kindling to get going before you even start to light a big stick. Whoops. Now, one thing I wanted to bring up real well is these rocks here. Now, you don't want to use them for a base. We will make a video and I will show this. I'm in an old riverbed. These rocks, even though I live in the desert and they bake out here all summer, will still have some moisture trapped in them. When they get horribly hot, they are going to explode. And they will take your nice fire and scatter it to pieces. And then you'll be like, bleep, 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 bleep. So, beware of that. See, like this rock here now, we're going to pull out. All right, so from a single log, we have a fire going. And like I said, it's a good skill to have. Now, people may think, this is crazy. I have a Bic lighter, or I've got some nifty such tool. Yeah, you do, until it fails. One thing I love about these, they work no matter how cold or wet it is, and you can just dig up some good dry stuff when you know how to search for it. Like I said, if you can find a dead tree, get to the center, and this stuff in here will be dry. Even if it's submerged, this can be dry. And then build yourself a fire. Like these ones, I use a fairly large round one. I found these must be really nice. I'll put a link to these in the description if you want them. They have a hole you can make a necklace out of them. I think that's a good idea. I actually carry a little smaller one in my wallet, so I always have it. And like I said, all my fires I start with a Ferrorcerium rod. Yeah, I know, a little crazy. But I figure if I do things hard now, they're not hard. And it just takes me some time. That's what it's become. It's now practice. I've been doing it this way for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years at this point. And I figured, you know, it may seem hard initially, but then it becomes practice. And it's like how the old settlers do it. Later we will cover something the old settlers really used, fire steel. Totally different method. This is Ferrocerium, which is slightly different. Fire steel takes a little more practice. We'll also do some of the others, bow drill and all that, but given where I'm at, my favorite other alternative is the sun. We will make a solar concentrator or a magnifying glass, and I'll show you how you can get a fire going with those really well. And trust me, it really works out here. So, there you go. Hope you liked the little video. Hopefully, this will give you something to go outside and try, because it's really good. Practice. Because I found is when I was like, oh, That's what I first started doing, is getting into some of this preparedness stuff. I'm like, hey, you know, that guy on TV, I could start a fire that way. That looks easy. Wrong. So wrong. Not easy. And that's what actually gives me a lot of respect for our ancestors. They did a lot of things the hard way. And they did it every day, all the time. We have it so good today, we don't even know it. So, get outside, practice, play with a fire. Especially the boys. Fire's good. Fire's fun. Play with the fire. Take care. Read out.